Yes. So this morning I'm sharing something with you on notary public. In fact, for those who have been traveling, for those who have been going to international transactions, they will understand this particular subject matter that I'm talking about. So over last week, there was a book that was launched.
Okay.
And this book is in relation to dealing with issues of notary publics in Ghana. And so if people will be asking what is notary public, it is a public officer appointed by the Chief Justice to perform certain functions. And those functions include witnessing and authenticating documents, verifying identity. So if you want to travel and then they are trying to find out the person who is trying your identity and all of that, this work is being done by an officer, a public or a notary officer or public officer in that regard. And you also have to administer oath in regard to that, certifying copies of documents and all of that. So in effect, this is a legally authorized person, official, who verifies and authenticates documents, identify identities, I might say, transactions, and providing an added layer of all the issues, establishing credibility and authenticity in relation to all that you want, your international transactions and all of that. And in our country now, Joshua, we do not have such a precedent that will serve as a guide to people who, lawyers, students, and all of that, to be able to use it as a guide. But one lawyer, Daniel Yao Bedu, has come up with a book. And that book, if you see the volume of the book, I tell you, you can use over a year to be able to. And so he launched the book, and in fact, it was the Chief Justice who was expected to launch the book. But she sent somebody, one of the justices of the High Court, to come and perform that particular launch. But the man on your screen now is the author of that particular Notaries Public in Ghana. Let's hear from him.
If the notary or the practitioner would have to practice with competence and with professionalism in terms of conduct, in terms of the practice, in terms of the etiquettes of the profession or the ethics of the profession and the demands of the profession, then a book of this kind will be very imperative. I also thought that for would-be notaries, this book will be a very important material for purposes of orientation, to orient them and to guide them. Who the notary is, what the notary does, how he has to, as it were, practice the profession, and also to provide the legal regime that brings attention to the dangers, to infractions that is inherent in the system of the practice.
So that is lawyer Daniel Yao Bedu, who is the author of this particular book that seems to give a lot of information to lawyers, to students, and all interested parties who will have or the intention, or for those who have been going through, for those who also want to learn more about it. I've had a couple of people ask me, my son is going with my auntie to this city. I want to verify how these processes are done. This book has come at the right time. You can also get a copy and then read and all of. And guess who was one of the guests at that particular forum?
I see for now, but earlier I saw someone, this guy from the NPP also there.
I think there were some notable faces there,
yes,
of course.
Yes,
so Professor Kenatifo, in fact, he's
yes,
he's a notary officer.
Oh.
He has been has taken the oath. He's one of the few people in the system who is mandated by law to perform such functions. So he was there to lend his support to this particular book that was launched. But I've been asking him about how we can go about with notary. So let's hear from Professor Ken Atifo.
The work of a notary public, among others, is to authenticate documents, is to validate claims, and especially for documents going outside the country, to make sure that they are valid, that they meet the highest international standards, they are clean, they have integrity, and they can be trusted. And so when a notary public puts an attestation to the document, it has the validity and is acceptable in international courts and other arena. So it is not about sharpening anything. It is about people just getting to know how best to do the job. And he has provided the procedure, the civil procedure that guides it, and the methodologies and all that a person needs in order to do the work. So if it's about sharpening, then it's about practitioners getting to know how best to do the work. And Mr. Abedu's book provides the path to doing that.
So that is Professor Ken Atifo giving us insights about notary public. So for those who are asking questions about what this book was all about, Professor Ken Atifo has given us some insight and all. It's a very interesting area that you want to go. I mentioned about the Chief Justice, Justice Gertrude Saki-Tokono, who delegated Justice Richard Apietu to launch the book. Let's hear from him.
I am persuaded that the book will be relevant and useful in several respects, including 1, facilitating the enhancement of administration of justice and the rule of law, and hence the advancement and development of the Ghana legal system. We anticipate this through the guidance and assistance the book is expected to offer legal practitioners, notaries, judges, magistrates, registrars, commissioners for oaths, other public officers, statutorily empowered to perform and undertake the functions of the notary, teacher of the law, law students, conveyancing practitioners, as well as those at the receiving end of notarial services. 2, as a reference tool to assist practitioners to do the needful in delivering efficiently, competently, and professionally notarial services required to promote commerce, business, international trade, transactions, and assured credibility and integrity imperatively required in legal documentation and socioeconomic and legal relations, land transactions, banking, finance, other commercial and trade transactions. 3, to serve as a ready, steady material for law students and other inquisitive minds seeking to gain insight and understanding of the subject and practice of the notary. 4, the book offers a good opportunity to access easily and readily visas in the development of the notarial practice and profession, the relevant law, judicial pronouncements, and relevant materials impinging upon the notary practice regime. 5, it will serve as a source and a guide in the professional development of law students and practitioners, notably in the areas of property law, conveyancing, wills, probate, and administration, law of evidence, civil procedure, commercial and company law practice, to provide guidance in promoting professional discipline, conduct and ethics, and how to assure credibility and integrity in the drafting and execution of legal and other documents to render them valid for admissibility. It gives me great pleasure to be associated with the book, Notary's Public Practice in Ghana, the Law, Cases, and Materials. The author is commended for the work done and for adding to the growing number of legal treatises on Ghanaian law, cases, and materials. His leadership in providing the first comprehensive book on the notary's public practice within our jurisdiction is also to be commended. I look forward to the active use of this book as a reference source and a handbook for many, and to all the anticipated users, this book is unreservedly recommended.
So the book comes in very highly
Absolutely.
recommended.
So that is
we should
justice. Absolutely, we should look forward to. So the voice that you just heard is Justice Richard Apietu, a justice of the High Court representing the Chief Justice. So all that he was saying were the exact words from the Chief Justice, and he was going through that. So that is it about this very book.
I'm interested. I'm glad we are done with it, because I couldn't wait for you to get to the next one. You know, last week when I saw the story, I was a bit surprised.
Okay.
Not too surprised though, but looking at the lady in question, 22 years.
Yes.
And then human trafficking issues.
Absolutely.
And the interesting bits were her friends who also came to court with her. Talk to me about that.
Absolutely. So as you can see on your screens, Nikki Sabella. Nikki Sabella.
Nikki Sabella. Is that her real name?
Yes, that's the name that she has based on the charge sheet that was put on. And a.k.a. Bella.
Bella.
So it's Isabella, all of that you can reduce it. Rebecca, Becca, and you know that long name so that you can reduce them. So in this case, Nikki Sabella, so she has reduced it to Bella. So as you can see, she came to court in nose marks. And you can see
that's a police officer?
Absolutely, that's the security officers who came to court with her in all of that. So on Friday, in fact, the day on 2nd of April, she was convicted for human trafficking, 3 counts, conspiracy, and 2 substantive counts. And the reason being that she and one other, Clara, who is on the run, are trafficking women from Nigeria to Ghana. They lured them into coming to Ghana to come and work in the supermarket. They got here in Ghana and they realized that they
was a human supermarket.
Yes, human supermarket. So they have to venture into prostitution. And even not that alone. They scrape part of their hairs, put them in the bottle, put them somewhere, ask them that when you go and you come back, these are the sales that you are supposed to make and all of that. The ladies looked at the situation, no, this is not why we came to Ghana. Then they contacted the police. They reported the issues to the police themselves. And their age bracket, 22 and 23. And she is 22 years. So in context, age mates.
Yeah, so her peers from Nigeria.
And for the story that we were told, the kingpin, the mastermind who came to Ghana earlier, I think that she understands the system, so she managed to run away. But this one who also came in also had grounds, and she's now also importing.
She's also Nigerian.
She's also Nigerian. So now they are doing the business. So when we come down here, bring more people. And then the victims reported, so they were the complainants in the matter. And the police went there, and then they arrested her. The other old lady has run away. And she was charged, brought to court, 3 counts, conspiracy of human trafficking, and 2 counts of human trafficking. At the end, the court established, or prosecution was able to prove its case, and then she was found guilty, and then she was sentenced after a pregnancy test was conducted, and that is a requirement for a woman who has been convicted, just so the court will be certain that this person that we are punishing, we are giving the custodial sentence, is not a pregnant woman. So all those initial issues were there with, but justice, in fact, her Anna, Mrs. Kusia Nochua, but let's have a feel of what happened moments after she was convicted and sentenced.
You arrested me, I'm innocent. You arrested me, I'm innocent.
So Nikki is in tears. She says she's innocent.
So you know one thing about the law is that once you are convicted, before you are sentenced, the court asks you for your mitigation plea. Say something to lessen or to reduce the punishments. And her point is that I am innocent. At that particular point in time, it is not the point that you are going to say I'm innocent. You have been found guilty and you are going to be punished. So when you say you are innocent, then you are insisting that, yes, you have done nothing wrong. And that is even dangerous. But I think the judge, looking at other instances, was charitable with this particular sentence. But the last time that I covered in September that we showed it here, she had 8 years. The court made an order that moment after she's done sentence, she should be deported. In her case, there was no such order. So maybe after she can stay in Ghana. But one thing that the judge said that was very striking is that the Ghanaian security agency should liaise with the Nigerian counterpart and get the lady who is on the run.
Clara.
Absolutely, Clara. And possibly forge some teamwork, togetherness, to be able to reduce or eliminate this human trafficking thing that is happening. But there was a witness. We were told that he's the boyfriend of Nikki Sabella, but he tells me that he's a friend of Sabella. Let's hear from him saying that her friend or his friend has done nothing wrong.
You have to get the law enforcement agency before they were able to.
She's innocent. She don't know anything about that thing. It's the same woman that sponsored those girls. It's the same woman that sponsored her too. I'm the one that said I would pay for her transport. But last year, July, I lost my dad, so I didn't do anything. I have to go back to a village. When I come back, that's when I hear that the case is already in the court. And I'm the one that do witness for her, do testify for her, because I know her very well. She's innocent, so I will fight for her.
Innocent because she's not a prostitute.
She's not the person, yeah. And she's not
a prostitute.
She's not a prostitute.
And she
yes.
doesn't also involve in human trafficking.
Yes.
She doesn't bring girls from Nigeria.
Yes, she's ever done it before.
Prostitution.
Yes.
You can vouch for that.
Yes, I can swear for that.
Yes.
The guy says he can vouch.
Have you got a friend who can stand by you in this situation? The guy said, I can swear for that. And indeed, he was in the witness box. He swore an oath and testified as a defense witness for her. Unfortunately, their testimony or their evidence was not accepted.
Right.
And so,
I mean, with cases in court, evidence is the name of the game.
Absolutely.
So once you have the evidence to
to
substantiate
show.
the claims, you're good to go.
Absolutely.
But if you do not have it, it's not about what you say.
You'll be hot. Yes. Sometimes you end up saying a lot of things. All of them are emotional sentiment and all of that. And those things do not play roles in court. It's about evidence. So you see people come to court and they start to cry. The court will tell you that, yeah, those are a dangerous situation. But you heard the point that he expressed. Then there was the Nigerian diaspora and the representative who said, look, all that you are saying, you are ignorant about it. If you knew what has really happened, you wouldn't have been here saying it. Let's hear that educational.
You have to get the law enforcement agency before they were able to release these two girls. That was what happened. You were not there. You are basing what you're saying based on what she has told you. And where she was is at ability. And that is where they were doing prostitution. And once they were there were more than 40-something of them in the same building. And she admitted in writing that this is what she does in Ghana, that she's doing prostitution. She also admitted that the money that the girl gets from prostitution, that she's the one that takes it to keep for herself and whoever person that she claimed that is her partner. So you cannot come and accuse the law enforcement agency and the court as if they have convicted an innocent person who did nothing. That cannot be right. What we should be doing as citizens is to use this as a deterrent to others, to tell them to trafficking our girls to this place that is not nice. Because I can see the way you're speaking. You're speaking because you felt bad that the Nigeria can be punished. The same way we wouldn't have to want her to be punished, let us also collaborate together and make sure they don't punish our own citizens here too. That is why I decided to speak to you, because I know you are speaking ignorantly because you are not part of even the time the girls were rescued. That is exactly why I decided to talk to you.
So that is absolutely. So the guy spoke and they said, no, what you have said it's absolutely not true. Listen to what really
ignorantly.
Absolutely listen to. And what is so good about the situation is a moment after the man took the gentleman along with him and said, let me go and school you. Let me carry you along. Let's find a way to come together and fight menace like this or situations like this and all of that. But of course, that is not all. The DSP Williams Ayariga, who is the Director of Anti-Human Trafficking in Ghana, also has a message, and let's hear from him.
I know it is there, but we are also doing our best, fighting, arresting them, prosecuting if there is evidence. Don't forget last year, the Anti-Human Trafficking Unit alone, we had about 9 convictions. And you'll be surprised that one of them had 20 years, unprecedented since the promulgation of Human Trafficking Act 694. Last year, one person was convicted for 20 years. And I'm telling you, we are sending out a clear message that crime, whether human trafficking, migrant smuggling, or any other crime for that matter, will not be countenance in the country and will not relent in our efforts until all perpetrators of the heinous crime are brought to book.
Well, so Murtala, clearly, a lot has been happening with that.
Yes.
But what's ahead for us?
So today we are looking at capacity building.
Okay.
Yes, capacity building. We call the Office of the Attorney General, and as you can see on your screens, state attorneys, to be precise, are going through some training, and this training will focus on rules of the ECOWAS courts, practice, and then procedure for all state attorneys. And in fact, for those who have had the opportunity, and I'm fortunate to have had the opportunity to sit through the ECOWAS Community Court proceedings, and there were some elements that are much different from what we do have here. What we do have here. And so when you have the opportunity to sit through and all of that, it's very amazing and all of that. So state attorneys who have the opportunity, state attorneys from the Office of the Attorney General will be going through training. In fact, it's a 4-day from today to Thursday. And there will be an opening ceremony. We'll be there to see what will happen. Tomorrow we'll share with you. So that is the main thing that we are focusing on today in relation to what is happening.
Right. And then now to another sad incident.
Yes,
yes.
Absolutely. You mentioned about some PLA and all of that. And also, so you see this picture on your screen. It was deliberate that I brought this picture to our viewers to see. So that is myself and Justice Sule Gbadegbe. And this picture was taken on the 3rd of December, 2020. That was the day that he bowed from the Supreme Court bench after serving over 31 years. 4 years down the line, we've been told that he's passed. Over 74, he died on Saturday. So that's a very sad one. In fact, moment like this, in fact, if there's one thing that I pick from this noble man, is time. Most often than not, when you go to the Supreme Court and parties are arguing their cases, Joshua, one thing that you should expect from Justice Sule Gbadegbe is that you have to be on time. You will not even go beyond the time 1 second. You start, then he times you. So at the point, he became the timekeeper at the Supreme Court. I remember many times where his name was mentioned. My brother on my right is the timekeeper, and immediately your time elapsed. He tells you that you have, in fact, he will remind you that you have 30 seconds, 1 minute more, and all of that. And he has so much great memories, wise counsel, and all of that. It's rather sad that we are losing such a man that has had a lot for the judicial service.
You look at him with so much admiration.
Yes, it was moment after, in fact, when you sit from distance, we didn't know that he was such a very nice person.
Right.
You don't want to, but when he bowed and had the opportunity to interact with him and realize that the man has got a lot of, there's also the human part of him that you always admire. And I remember taking this picture, I was full of smile and all of that. It's rather sad that I'm sharing this picture today that Justice Sule Gbadegbe is no more. So at the Supreme Court, you retire at 70, and then he retired 4 years after. He's no more. May his gentle soul rest in perfect peace and all of that. Absolutely. And just before I go, today is the birthday of the man that gave me ground in journalism.
Oh.
Yeah, the man that gave me opportunity to practice journalism or journalism in Ghana, to start my media career. Editor, A.C. Ohene. You know A.C. Ohene, the renowned A.C. Ohene. Today is his birthday. Accra, happy birthday to you. Long life. And enjoy your day.
And we'll do it also for the birthday segment. Well, Murtala, thank you so much. And that's our wrap-up call today for this morning.